There's something happening inside the Jehovah's Witnesses. Something they don't want you to talk about. All over the world, people are leaving in mass numbers. Elders are resigning. Congregations are shrinking. Families are being torn apart. And not by the world, but by the watchtower itself. And why? Because people are waking up and they're learning the truth about the truth. This is not about losing faith. This is about breaking free from control. For decades, Jehovah's Witnesses have been told they're part of God's one true organization, that every teaching comes straight from heaven. But look closer. Failed prophecies, constant doctrinal flip-flops, a leadership that calls itself the faithful and discreet slave, demanding absolute obedience. Question them, and you're branded spiritually weak. Disagree with them, and you're out on your keister. The truth is simple. This is not spiritual unity. It's intellectual control, and they've mastered it. Every cult needs one thing to survive: fear. And Jehovah's Witnesses have mastered it. Fear of Armageddon, fear of the outside world, fear of losing your family, your friends, your entire community if you ever dare to walk away. That's not love. That is manipulation. And that fear keeps families and millions trapped in silence, terrified to think for themselves. That is a pure cult mentality and fits every point of the bite model. Then comes the part they truly want to hide. The scandals, the secrecy, the cover-ups. Around the world, courts and government inquiries have exposed how Jehovah's Witness leaders mishandled CSA cases, protected the reputation of the organization over the safety of children, and still they claim to be the cleanest organization on earth. Tell that to the survivors who begged for justice, got silence instead. When you protect predators and shun victims, you're not God's organization. You're part of the problem. And that's the problem with this organization. They're not godly. It's men who claim to be uninspired and fallible, but yet claim to speak for God, but claim they don't speak for God, who are protecting such awful things as this. And you wonder why so many people are leaving. Jehovah's Witnesses love to talk about freedom of choice. But the second you use that freedom of choice, you're punished for it. You can't question. You can't think differently. You can't make your own moral choices without checking if the watchtower approves. That's not faith. That's control disguised as devotion. True freedom is owning your own mind, not surrendering it to a group of men in Warwick, New York. They do not allow freedom. You're not allowed to think outside of what they approve. They do not like critical thinking skills. They demand obedience. They demand your loyalty. They claim to be uninspired and fallible, yet they claim to be speaking for Jehovah God. They claim that that organization is God's one true organization. So anything that's in that watchtower is the same as if God spoke it himself. But yet they change it. And yet they claim you have freedom to do what you wish inside their organization. But the moment you do, there's a price. There's a price to pay in Watchtower. So freedom is an illusion they sell. So the outside world will see something painted pretty that on the inside is ugly and stinks. But here's the good news. People are waking up fast. The internet has shattered the watchtower secrecy. Former elders, circuit overseers, pioneers, lifelong members are telling their stories. YouTube is loaded with stories of people exiting this notorious cult. They're rebuilding their lives, their fate, their families, the control of the religious cult had over them. And the more the organization tries to silence them, the louder and louder their voices are becoming. This isn't just people leaving. This is a spiritual revolution. People are living in an age of technology, and the watchtower can no longer hide its lies and its secrecies. Jehovah's Witnesses claim to have the truth. But real truth doesn't fear questions. And real love doesn't demand silence. So if you're doubting, questioning, and finally ready to walk away, you're not weak. You're strong, you're brave, and you're definitely not alone. This is the awakening the watchtower can't stop.
How can you see into my eyes like open doors, leading you down into my core, where I become so numb without a soul? My spirit's sleeping somewhere.
used by Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses don't use the word shun or shunning. They refer to it as disfellowship, disfellowshipping, disfellowshipped, because that really gives the sense of what's taking place within this particular religious community. Disfellowship literally means no further spiritual fellowship with the individual. As far as their family members are concerned, normal family relations continue with the exception of spiritual fellowship.
See yourselves as Jehovah God's spokespeople on earth?
That, I think, would seem to be quite presumptuous to say that we are the only spokesperson that God is using. The scriptures clearly show that someone can act in harmony with God's Spirit in giving comfort and help in the congregations. But if I could just clarify a little, going back to Matthew 24, clearly Jesus said that in the last days, and Jehovah's Witnesses believe these are the last days, there would be a slave, a group of persons who would have responsibility to care for the spiritual food. So in that respect, we view ourselves as trying to fulfill that role.
If someone is perceived as one of Jehovah's Witnesses in the community, that's because they have not disassociated or been disfellowshipped.
Well, it has to do with what the person is telling other persons.
Well, there's no middle road, is there? I mean, you're either a member and subject to the organization, or you're not. Isn't that the case?
Yes, but I thought you were asking me about disassociation.
Well, I am indeed. So if someone hasn't disassociated but has sought merely to become inactive or to fade, they're then still subject to the organization's discipline and rules.
If they acknowledge being one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
And if they do the contrary, which is to say they're not one of Jehovah's Witnesses, the effect of that is disassociation.
That's if they decide to go down that course.
And if they don't actively disassociate, then they will be disfellowshipped as apostates.
No, an apostate is someone who actively goes against what the Bible teaches.
Well, if the elders come on the door to a former member to a member who's been inactive and sought to fade away, and says, "Well, are you still a Jehovah's Witness or not?" and the person says, "Well, no, I don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness," the consequence of that will be either disfellowshipping or disassociation, won't it?
No, I don't agree with that. Not from what I've seen. Can I just say this hypothetical situation, which is probably a one that could happen. Two elders call at the door of someone. They're not going to come out and say, "Hello, I'm celebrating Christmas." It presupposes that Jehovah's Witnesses have some sort of spy network to monitor these people, which we don't.
Certainly loyal Christians would not associate with anyone called a brother who is practicing serious sin. And this can be true, friends, even if the congregation action has not been taken. For example, with the case of a long-time inactive one. Notice the following example. One young witness remembers the stand that he and his brothers took when their mother, long inactive as a Christian, entered an adulterous marriage. We reported the matter to the elders, she recalls, and since she did not live at home, we, the young brothers, decided to limit their association with her until the elders could handle the matter. It was the hardest thing we ever had to do, he said. Their mother protested, "Does your everlasting life mean more to you than I do?" She was tugging at the heartstrings. What did they do? They replied, "Our relationship with Jehovah means more than anything." Yes, dear brothers and sisters, this